Alright, y'all, and we continue. Astrea's Broken Heart, Season 1, Episode 9. I just need to know what's gonna happen. Like, what is Malik playing at? I can't understand. And how is it possible that the day we went with Malik to the hospital to, clear our name from the bitch that attacked us the first time and he made us lose a warrant, his parents came in there causing a scene with that, and both the person that attacked us and his parents were found dead. I need to know what happens. Everyone has skeletons in their closets. Every single one. Episode 9. Dinner is served. Okay.
Some people should find a better use for their heads than thinking nasty things and being rude. Trust me, she's going to lose her sooner or later.
Wow, he did say that.
Would that make you happy?
And we said yes. What did I say to Malik? We said yes. Yes? Maybe? We said yes. The professor's irradiating whisper warmed its way into her memories with a serpentine hiss that made her hair stand on end. The man's image took on dark, sinister hues. Path of skepticism. Coincidences like this have never happened in my life before. The unexpected news hit her like a hammer. I wonder if Malik knows what happened, and if so, how did he react? Ask him. Her phone screen had long gone dark, but Simona continued to clutch the device in her hand. Arthur is dead. The patient that I'm accused of injuring. He passed away. She wasn't sure exactly what this meant for her, but she could guess that it wasn't going to be good. Maybe I should talk to David? Or call Malik? The mirth thought made her heart shrink in fear. I feel she needs to tell the boys what's going on, because if this actually needed to be like a court thing where we actually fight this out and this man is dead, then there's no way we can actually clear our name of this. So we need to come clean here. She knew perfectly well that Malik had been beside her in the banquet hall when the truck collided with the Khaled's car. But the words he had said in the hospital wouldn't leave her mind. As if he had anything to do with what happened just because of one stupid phrase. It's like I'm complicit too, because I didn't say no to him. You can't control someone else's actions. And just because I said something doesn't mean that I would intentionally act on it. Like, how many times have I said that I wanted to kill someone during my reactions? How many times? And the second that I see that they're experiencing pain, I immediately feel guilty for ever having said anything bad to them. I'm such a fucked up person, okay? I care that much about people, no matter how much damage they've caused me. I will never ever be numb when it comes to suffering, because I know what it feels like. I would never ever would want to have something personally to do with like Anna or the general after the bullshit that they pulled. Because they continue behaving shitty towards us. Greg redeemed himself. Greg is a cutie pie. He's fine now. I have forgiven him. He has proven himself. He is out of this one. Anna and the general on the other side are not. I would never want them in my life, but I would never want them to die. Like, the wound was fresh when the general got attacked by infected ones. And I immediately said I didn't want him to die. Just because I say something does not automatically mean that I actually want this to happen. We can't be held responsible. That sudden arrival at the threshold skillfully smoothed out the edges of her problems, making their sharp corners seem much simpler. Swallowing her pride was so easy now. She couldn't fathom why she'd avoided this conversation before. When I was ready to ask the residents of the house to gather in the living room, she was ready to confess everything, period. Tell them that she didn't have a license, that she'd almost killed a patient, that she'd withheld important information from them about a possible connection to the beast. Attention, the next choice will determine who will help you regain your license in the future. Oh, nice. I need to decide who to talk to now. Valonia, no. David, Malik. As much as I like Malik, and it would have been nice to have the storyline with him, I would have to go with David again. Maybe it's because out of all these three, I would have to say he's my favorite. But right now, after what happened with Malik, and he's not really making anything clear in comparison to me, where I feel the need to always emphasize what I truly mean, this man remains cryptic about everything he says, and it makes him extremely suspicious and unreliable, if you ask me. Like asking about my childhood trauma? What you getting out of that? It's kind of like he feeds on people's despair, and I can't have that, so David. At first, Simona wanted to talk to David face to face, but then she realized that she didn't even know where his bedroom was. After a moment's hesitation, she sent him a text. I hope I don't wake him up with my message. David! Sorry. Please come talk to me when you can. Oh, bye. We can actually...
On my way.
In love. That's nice. His reply came surprisingly quickly. Now? Here? Yes. Simona rushed out of bed. Almost immediately, she heard hurried footsteps outside. This man, he cutie pie. He immediately went up to be like, what the fuck happened? Who did it? How can I protect you? He did not think twice before zooming. David burst into the room with a long, striking stride and stared at her expectantly. What did I say? Oh God, don't tell me that he thinks we want to do something forbidden. This is not what I called you here for, son.
What's wrong?
Oh, okay. No. He's taking it seriously. Love him. The anxiety in his eyes made her feel unexpectedly warm by the anxiety. He cares so much. I hope I don't disappoint him. We will have to take the bull by the horns. Especially, you need to be honest and truthful, to the person that you intend to have a romantic relationship with. Any sort of relationship, whether it's friendship, romantically, or family, it's built on trust. If I can't trust you, then the relationship is doomed to begin with. Simona hesitantly raised her hand and brought her fingers to her lips as if in a final attempt to hold back the confession. But she quickly stopped herself and took a deep breath. Get a grip. David, I have a confession to make. And I know that what I did was disgusting, and if you don't want to work with me anymore...
Simona, I'm a lawyer, remember? I know how to listen and not make moral judgments.
Simona licked her suddenly dry lips and continued her confession. The thing is, I didn't change jobs by choice. I was kicked out of Gotland, and I can't practice medicine like it says on my resume. I don't have a license. Biting her lips, Simona felt silent and looked away. David was the first to break the silence.
And?
He caught her gaze and raised his eyebrow questioningly, urging her to continue. In his eyes, so what? You still practiced and everything. And that's it. He looked even more puzzled than Simona.
We know about that, and we don't care.
Wait, what? The heavy burden Simona had carried for so long suddenly snapped. How the fuck would they know? It fell with a deafening rumble, and relief rose from the rubble like a cloud of dust, sudden and unexpected.
I can't imagine why any of us would need your license. But if it's important to you, I'll get it back.
What? Is he being serious? Get it back?
Yes, but only if you promise not to leave us right away.
What the fuck? I'm speechless. Thank David! Simona felt so indescribably light for the first time in such a long time that she impulsively hugged her colleague. She laid her head on his chest and closed her eyes, intoxicated by a new, incredible sense of security. I'm in love with them. His hands rested on her back, squeezing a little harder. Thank you.
No problem, little witch.
I love it when he calls her a little witch now. I love this is like, there's a reason why I love when people decide to like call you in like a nickname. The nickname is them showing you affection, because this is a nickname that I only call a specific person. To put an example in here, I have a best friend, and I call her Fiza. But her name is not Fiza at all. But every single time I call her that, she grins and says, I love you too. Like, me using that nickname that I developed specifically for her is only meant for her. And it's showing my affection towards her. That's why I love it when someone like develops a nickname for you. At first it gets on your fucking nerves because you're like, God damn, like I have a name. Call me by my fucking name. And the other person's like, I don't give a damn if you have a name. Like, I'm gonna call you like this. It gets on your fucking nerves. But then you actually get used to that fact because you then subconsciously realize that this is them showing affection. And then every time then when they say it, you love it when they call you like that. I love it. I love it when he calls his little witch. David broke the embrace and gently touched her face softly, almost weightlessly. He ran his thumb over her velvet skin.
I don't want to worry. Promise me that you'll tell me everything that troubles you, okay?
Do you want to share all my troubles?
I only want to share pleasant feelings with you. I want to rid you of your problems.
Bye. What a romantic bitch you are. David lowered his hands reluctantly. He smiled so sincerely that Simona felt as though her worries had already erased. David is always prepared to come to your rescue. I know, and he's such a bitch for that. I love him. He's mine. I claim dibs, bitches. Fight me. Well, I need to officially hire you.
We'll do without formalities for now.
Well, how can I pay you for your nice services? Alright, but there's a catch. My patient died today. David didn't react to this information.
Go to sleep, little witch. I'll figure it all out myself.
Nah, he's a keeper. Again, David is winning. David winked at her and hurried to the door.
I won't stay any longer. It's late and we don't want rumors spreading in the house.
Oh no, rumors can spread all they want. Like, the real ones need to fight for me. David is glad that you asked for his help. This will affect the story. I love it. Simona put her phone on the bedside table, then absent-mindedly covered herself completely with the blanket. Like, honestly, what would you have done? Do not always allow pretty faces to dictate what you should do. Like, yes, Malik is beautiful, but that's not all there is. We have seen this man twice, and he has not done anything that can show to us that he's actually reliable. If you would, like, wake up in the middle of the night, taunted by visions of people that you could have hurt without wanting to, and you have someone that is actually encouraging that thought when he sees that you are actually not having anything that's going on, smack the shit out of him. Leave. I don't need that kind of negativity. You can't tell me that actually knowing someone for 2 days, or more like knowing someone or having seen that person only twice, meanwhile you have lived under the roof with people for, I don't know, half a year, you would prefer the one that you saw twice. Lie to me. Among other things, there was a thought firmly lodged in her mind. Why didn't I have the courage to talk to MIKAEL right away? The upcoming conversation no longer frightened her at all. Still, Simona imagined different scenarios and replayed them in her head. It was not until dawn that she fell asleep. I feel bad for her, I really do, because this must not be easy for her as well. As a result, the one-on-one conversation didn't happen. MIKAEL waited for everyone in the living room for a long time, keeping the evaluator guessing. Simona took a seat next to CASSIEL. She didn't even bother to ask any questions. Out of habit, she looked around. Only Raphael was missing. If he was feeling worse, would the others act normal? Would they share his condition with us? Simona didn't know how to ask this question or to whom. She pursed her lips. Right, he's sick. How do I find out if he's okay?
Let's begin.
Simona sat up straight and leaned forward. Somehow she knew that the conversation was going to be about her.
Simona, you had something to tell us.
Ooh, just you, but alright. Nah. I don't know who orchestrated this, but yes, you go, sis. Like, you told David about this? He said he was gonna help, but we live in a house with all of these fine-ass bitches. They all need to know. They all deserve to know. Simona tried to ignore everyone's stares as she clasped her trembling hands. I know I should have said this sooner, but I'm saying it now. One of my patients threatened me, and yesterday I found out there could be no mistake. He's connected to your cult. Arthur Cladis. He knew Philip Moore and, like Ethan, tried to kill me.
So you knew we were looking for these killers all over the city and forgot to tell us about this patient.
Simona inched away from CASSIEL without meaning to. She looked at him guiltily.
Why didn't you tell us sooner?
A justifiable indignation made her want to sink through the floor.
Because there was a reason, CASSIEL.
David, not even thinking twice, telling CASSIEL to shut the fuck up. I love this man, already leaping toward the fence. God damn, you gotta love him. Like, that's when you know that the love someone has for you is real. When they can't handle slander towards you.
What reason? You don't need to know everything in the world.
David. God damn, they already hated each other. It's because of my license. I thought you didn't know that I didn't have it. I was afraid you wouldn't hire me if you knew.
Oh, CASSIEL. Did you confuse our agency with a psychiatric hospital? Why the hell would we need your license?
It's easy to get confused with co-workers like this.
Of course, we don't give the impression of being the most prestigious organization around, but it would be strange if we agreed to live under the same roof with you without even trying to find out who you are.
Michael's words were so logical and ridiculous at the same time. Simona could do nothing but open her mouth and immediately close it again without saying a word. Honestly, what do you even say to that? You're the one who was afraid to live under the same roof as me, so you checked my employment history?
Simona, I knew from the beginning that you didn't have a license. What made you think we needed it?
I haven't felt as stupid in a long time. Justify yourself. Try to put yourself in my shoes. I was devastated, and then my colleague suggested that I apply here as a joke. If you had turned me away, it would have destroyed me.
Your colleague suggested that you apply to us.
Simona didn't know why it mattered to him, but she nodded. The silence was broken by Felonia.
Can we speak to your patient?
The realization of her cowardice and its consequences made her nauseous. I deprived them of witness. If I had spoken up earlier, Fel could have questioned him. I'm really sorry, but that's not possible. He died last night.
And you only decided to tell us now?
Simona shrank even more. She tried to find an excuse, but she couldn't. I realize you have every right to be angry with me.
No one is angry with you, Simona.
The awkward moment was interrupted by Michael.
If no one else has anything to first, let's continue.
This man, he says, I see no one has anything to say negatively about her. Good, then we can continue.
To summarize what we know, there are 5 victims.
Michael glanced at the evaluator warily and added cautiously.
And we know that Simona is also a target of the cult. Target we will not allow them to reach.
Ooh. He said, bitch, I don't give a fuck how much they want you. I want you more. You stay here. Taking advantage of the pause, Felonia took over Michael's monologue.
Now we can say with certainty that the choice of victims is not random. They're not choosing new ones. They're continuing to pursue old ones. Simona, we need to understand how you're connected to them.
Still feeling guilty about the last witness, Simona was willing to share anything that might help.
We need to know everything that might help us connect you to the victims.
What part of my life might reveal a connection? I didn't even know what else could help. Childhood, youth. I don't think childhood, but I feel like I should go with childhood because everyone, like every single time someone had a question about us, they kept on asking about our childhood. I spent my childhood in a cult. My father was a pastor in one of the churches. I can't say if the victims were connected to our community, but that can be checked.
And you worshipped?
I was raised Christian and never heard a word about any beast, that's for sure. Youth? After my parents died, I was placed in an orphanage. My relatives didn't want to take custody of a child from a cult.
What kind of orphanage?
At a monastery. After I graduated, I got a degree in psychiatry. We can check both the orphanage and my university. Adulthood. You already know where I used to work, but Godlam seems to connect the cult members more than the victims. I spent my entire life in confinement, first by necessity, then by choice. My social circle is ridiculously small. Her brief account of her years of existence made her sound so boring. My life must look pretty pathetic from the outside.
That's something. Michael, we can start with the second murder. Go to the restaurant and talk to the victim's father. Check everyone again. Simona, can you help?
Simona wasn't used to baring her soul to everyone, so she was happy to leave this meeting as soon as possible. Yes, of course.
Alright, start with the restaurant. I understand it's closed. It's not close to everyone, and I'll have an invitation. We'll just have to pretend to be different people.
Oh, I'll be happy to do that. Trying to avoid eye contact with anyone in the room, Simona made a bend line for the exit.
Come on, I'll tell you about what awaits us there on the way. Simona, thank you for your honesty.
You're welcome. Simona nodded and glanced at her silent colleagues. David looked down at the floor. He seemed pensive and distant. What exactly was it in my story that upset him so much? I don't think he's upset. I feel like that he's overwhelmed. Because actually being part of a cult is not something positive, you know. In the hallway, the women parted ways. Felonia asked her to pick something sophisticated to wear for their mission. Then she went out to get the invitation. I wonder what roles we'll have to play in the restaurant. Simona spent nearly an hour choosing an outfit worthy of Fel's request. Then she changed her clothes leisurely. Dangerous like Felonia, bye. Bold like CASSIEL, ooh, gorgeous. Passionate like David, of course. Stern like MIKAEL, ooh. I like that we can actually take these because depending on our choices, I would assume, honestly, my favorite is MIKAEL and CASSIEL. And even though passionate is always nice, I'm stern. I like it sexy but also hot. Yes. Now for my hair. Oh, soft waves. This also looks nice. I don't know. No, you know what? Let's go with light. Simona fixed her hair, then paused as she sat in front of the mirror. The conversation that was supposed to bring her relief had only complicated an already difficult situation. I wish I could find a place where the past doesn't matter at all. Simona hoped the other residents' opinions of her wouldn't change after their frank discussion. She looked out in the garden, but her desire to leave the room had vanished. Fortunately, Felonia returned rather quickly. She interrupted Simona's gloomy thoughts with an unexpected change of appearance. Smiling, she hesitantly paused in the doorway.
You took my assignment quite seriously.
What do you mean?
Your outfit. It suits you.
Thank you.
Before we go to the restaurant, there's something I need to tell you about.
Felonia walked into the bedroom and stood by the window.
It's closed for a reason, and they don't just let anybody in. I don't know exactly what goes on over there, But since my superiors turn a blind eye on it, it can't be anything too illegal.
Too illegal? Well, I'll let her remark pass.
Remember, your name is Julie and mine is Natalie.
I think it's important to remember the most important parts of their backgrounds, along with their names. How did the guests get an invitation?
They were invited to collaborate. The owner of the establishment is planning to open another one in Marseille. The women were invited to observe the presentation of the restaurant's dishes. The owner wants to convince them to become co-owners in France.
Where are the real guests?
They sacrificed the restaurant owner's business proposal for a good cause.
It was hard to believe such a simple explanation. So they flew to another country for money and then gave it up?
They had to. My guys pulled Julie over for driving under the influence.
What is the relationship between the guests?
Very close. I suspect they're engaged. But we don't have to put our relationship on display.
Do I have to behave in a special manner?
They're here for the first time. The restaurant owner has never seen them before, so everything will go smoothly.
It all sounded quite simple.
We need to try to talk about his son and find out what he might connect him to you. The owner himself and his restaurant are a little interest to me.
Simona remembered the photographs she found in Raphael's room. The mutilated body of the young man was left in the middle of the restaurant they were now apparently going to. His father continues to work in the place where his own son was murdered. Normally, people try to preserve good memories. They don't torture themselves by saying their tragedies happened. You were at the crime scene, weren't you?
My colleagues were, but nothing came of it. By the way, he didn't say much about his son, and I think there's a good reason for that.
Then let's try to find out more. The building that housed the restaurant resembled a barn. It had tall, boarded-up windows and heavy oak drawers. Anyone not in the know would think the place was abandoned and walked right away. And anyone who wanted a roof over their head for the night would simply not be able to get in. The front door had no handle or bell. It opened at the exact time stated on the invitation. At the entrance, the women were met by a silent host with a deathly pale complexion. His face cut through the dim light of the room like a moon in the night sky. He led them inside. Simona could barely make out the shapes of the objects around them. She shuddered when one of the silhouettes blinked. Behind each chair, like statues, stood emotionless waiters. Oh, this restaurant is a restaurant. The host led them to a table and invited them to sit down with a barely perceptible nod. The obscured figure behind Simona offered her a chair, but then pushed it in slightly to help her get seated.
It looked like we were in for some kind of performance.
Her soft voice echoed through the room, indicating that they were likely the only guests for the evening. A performance. I hope I can at least see my plate in this darkness. Wow. As if anticipating her words, the restaurant walls suddenly lit up, illuminating the room. After the desolation that surrounded the building, the sudden plunge into luxury came as a shock, creating a contrast for great impact.
Welcome.
As if out of nowhere, the owner of the establishment appeared before them. Has he been standing in the shadows this whole time? A trim, well-groomed man in a chef's uniform peered at the unfamiliar faces.
Hope you had a good trip, and of course that you're hungry.
The man smiled and extended his hand to the evaluator.
Adam Villano at your service for the evening.
Oh, what's my name? Julie.
Nice to meet you, Julie. And you must be Natalie. That's right.
Valonia looked around with interest as she shook Adam's hand.
The setting is impressive.
Adam smiled enigmatically and waved off her compliment.
This shows a beautiful wrapper that you can customize to your liking in Marseille. If we come to an agreement. No doubt my tongue could convince you to agree to the deal, but this time I'll have your tongues help me.
Adam signaled to someone behind his guest's back, then cast an enthusiastic glance around the room.
Within these walls, people do not stuff themselves, they savor. Here the soul soars with the indulgence of the flesh.
Wow! In an instant, the restaurant seemed to have been submerged underwater. Silent waiters placed dishes in front of the women and immediately dissolved back into the shadows.
As you know, every venture involves risk, but even risk can be divine in taste. In front of you is a fugu fish.
The pearlescent, delicate flesh was suddenly much more intriguing. Starting off with a dish that is banned in our country, charming.
Even the preparation of this amazing creature requires exquisite skill. One wrong move will kill a visitor to our establishment in a matter of seconds.
And there's definitely no poison in it?
There definitely is. The safest flesh is on its back. I cut these slices from its belly, where all its poison is concentrated. It's amazing how we are affected by what we taste. Because fugu is initially safe, it's your own eating habit that make it poisonous. And you're suggesting that we risk our lives. Interesting. The dish, like our business, cannot be entirely pure. But there's the charm, there's just enough poison to make you feel the euphoria of your own decisions.
For some reason, Adam's main guess was clearly Julie. He addressed her first.
Do you dare?
Yes. Under Adam's enthusiastic gaze, Simona dipped a transculent petal into the sauce and placed it on her tongue. She chewed the firm, gelatinous flesh carefully, trying to evaluate it. It's not like fish or meat. It's something entirely different.
Do you feel the taste of danger?
Nice. Alright. Nice. Simona listened to the sensations of her body. Her legs were rapidly filling with leads, sending a paralyzing wave higher to her arms to her head. But she had no time to be frightened. She shook off the overwhelming sensation easily and blinked dazedly. Her control over her body returned just as swiftly, but in reverse order. Simona took a deep breath. She felt slight euphoria from the unfamiliar sensation. Resurrection. That was interesting.
I know you would appreciate it.
Adam clapped loudly to summon his staff. You know how to impress. The dishes changed with astonished ease and speed. The atmosphere in the restaurant changed along with them. Nice.
A joint venture requires not only the ability to take risks, but also the ability to trust. I think trust is what it's all about. Do you trust each other?
Once again, his appraising gaze is directed to me. We trust, but we check ourselves. I prefer to earn trust, and Natalie has earned mine for a reason.
Well, there's something to that. Such grounded people definitely have good heads on their shoulders.
This time there was a black silk ribbon on the tray next to the dish.
No matter what you think, partnership implies trust. And what could be better than blind faith?
Adam picked up the thin but dense fabric and handed it to the evaluator. Then he addressed Felonia.
Natalie, are you ready to give up your right to choose? Are you ready to experience a taste seasoned with either faith in your partner or the fear of mistrust?
Simona would have sworn that Felonia would refuse such an offer. She'd rather put me in handcuffs than be deprived of mobility or any of her senses. But as she looked at the ribbon, Felonia unexpectedly asked,
Shall we try it?
She actually wants this? Tie the ribbon over Felonia's eyes. Simona shrugged and took the cold, cool cloth in her hands. Alright, let's give it a try. She walked around the table and stood behind Felonia, then carefully tied the ribbon in a rather flimsy knot. Is it too tight?
No.
Felonia's voice had changed. It had become softer, more agitated. This is an interesting way to stimulate the taste buds of your visitors. Simona returned to the table and looked at the wide array of different dishes. Which one should I choose?
Any of them. There's no poison, so don't worry. Dark colors are bitter, light colors are sour, and bright colors are sweet. Black colors will undermine the trust between you. What's in them? Flavor and nothing more. Perhaps you, Natalie, will find these dishes most appealing, but I wouldn't risk it. It sounds like they could all be quite unpleasant. That's the point. Taste is different for everyone. The question is, do you trust your partner with such an important choice?
Bye. She be thinking about her life choices. Alright, where do I start? Try everything yourself first. She's like, don't even dare. Felina didn't even try to hide her tension. Her lips were pressed into a thin line. Simona was tempted to interrupt this absurd performance, but I don't think this is about the food. The perpetual stern woman obviously feared very little in life. She's not afraid of facing down a gun in someone else's hands. She'd hardly going to be nervous about too sweet jelly. But if she agreed, it means she really wants to learn to trust, even in such a strange way. Simona ran her eyes over the rather unappetizing-looking dishes and took a deep breath. All right, Natalie, I'll spare you any unpleasant sensations. I'll taste the dishes myself before I offer them to you. Adam laughed and clapped his hands.
A gesture worthy of loyalty. That's how much your partner values you, Natalie.
But only a smile and relaxed her shoulders slightly.
Thank you, Julie.
Simona tried not to choose by color. She reached for the most appealing-looking dish. She took a cautious bite.
Well, is it fit for our crane?
Delicate citrus notes, fresh and bright, spread across her tongue. Simona swallowed the mousse perfection. It unexpectedly revealed a sweet berry aftertaste. It's so delicious that I'm tempted to lie and sneakily eat the rest.
No, I want to try it.
Felonia held out her hand in frozen anticipation. As she looked at the policewoman's open palms, Simona couldn't help but smile. It seems all is not lost and Felonia is capable of trust, at least in such small matters. Simona carefully placed the Astrea on its stand into Felonia's hand. She waited for her colleague's reaction.
It's delicious.
Felonia lowered her hands back to the table and Simona took the empty cake stand from them.
What's next?
Next, the evaluator had to make an effort to swallow a peculiar dish. I think I'll finish this one myself. I would classify this dish under the black color category.
You don't have to.
Felonia turned her hand over and opened her palm.
I'll share that with you too.
For some reason, Felonia's words made Simona's heart clench. Alright. As she watched Felonia's lips twist, Simona smiled. The original plan had lost all meaning, but suddenly another deeper one emerged. Now Simona wasn't warning Felonia in advance, instead enjoying her reaction and comparing it to her own.
Wonderful.
Felonia's happy to be around you, even on a mission. Feed her. A spoon-shaped pastry stand with an unusual filling caught Simona's eye. What's this? The foam-like dish was opalescent and did not fit into any of the category described.
It's hard to capture the color because no one can give a definition or opinion on it. Today it holds sweetness, tomorrow bitterness.
Does the recipe change every day too? Adam appreciated her joke and smiled. Still, he answered seriously.
No, the recipe is always the same. Maybe it's about the main ingredient.
Simona lifted the spoon and sniffed it. I'm getting some fruity notes. Will you try it? Felonia nodded and extended her hand. I'll do it for you. I'm afraid you won't be able to get this culinary wonder to your mouth. Simona leaned over the not-too-wide table and carefully brought the spoon to her colleague's mouth. Come on, Natalie, the first spoonful is ready to eat. Felonia hesitated but raised her hand anyway. What's the fruity goodness?
Give it to me.
You've never been hand-fed before, have you?
I'm not 2 years old.
Felina sliced through the air with her fingers in an attempt to find the treat. She almost hit the evaluator in the face. You're going to spill everything.
I won't if you give me the dish.
Simona held Felonia's overly eager hand and helped her guide the spoon to her mouth.
What do you think? A little sour, but I like it.
I'm curious to what flour would stand out for you, Julie. Natalie got so messy that if I cleaned her up, I could squeeze enough out of this napkins for both of us to enjoy this wonderful dish.
That's not true.
Felonia touched her lips but missed the spot. You're going to have to accept my help and stay dirty for the rest of the evening.
Alright, I guess I really have no choice.
Simona picked up a napkin from the table and approached Fel. Hold still. As she wiped her colleague's laughing face, Simona imagined for a moment that a little sister she never had was sitting in front of her. Too bad.
You're doing a great job.
Wiping your mouth? Unsure how to respond to the ambiguous compliment, Simona chuckled. Well, I don't think it takes any talent to do that.
Thank you anyway.
Simona fought back a laugh as she replied in an overly serious tone.
I'm always happy to help you, Natalie. Feel free to ask any time. It's been a long time since I had such nice guests.
Right. Felona will love to stay here longer with you. Ask how she feels. Simona knew from experience that few people are comfortable in complete darkness. She asked, How are you doing? Are you all right? Felonia exhaled raggedly and admitted,
I know it's just a silly game, but feeling vulnerable isn't very fun.
We can stop and take the blindfold off. After a moment, Felonia shook her head.
No, it's okay. I know I'm not alone here, and that's reassuring.
I guess anyone would react that way to a familiar voice. Felonia grimaced and adjusted the blindfold.
Oh, I don't know. If it were Michael's voice, I'd try to hide deeper in the darkness.
Who's Michael?
A bothersome acquaintance.
Then it's a good thing I sent out invitations just for the two of you.
Absolutely.
Remove it. Now it's the both of us, baby. Simona realized that the tasting process was taking them further away from their main goal. She coughed quietly. This was interesting, thank you.
So soon, you haven't even tasted half of it.
Nodding, Felonia supported her partner.
I'm afraid we don't have much time. Then I suggest you try the last course of the day.
The last one? Simona began to process this new information. She exchanged glances with Felonia. We had a great time, but we haven't learned anything useful. We need to hurry. Adam waved to the host and gave him some sort of sign.
A joint venture means openness. I'm not asking you for revelations, I'm offering you one.
Blinding white light hit their eyes, with bright red spots spreading across them like blood. The sight was so impressive that Simona didn't even notice the new dish placed in front of her.
Oh my god, no.
This is actually a body. What is this?
Life and death as they are.
That's not an answer.
Before you decide to try this dish, let me tell you why I chose France.
I wonder if his desire to open... Oh my god. That sucked. Well, can't change it. Maybe he's running from his grief after all. So you want to move to Marzel?
Move? No, you misunderstand me. I want to open a second restaurant there. You see, although it was from a distance, I knew your late father. I can assure you that I understood him well.
The unexpected confession took her breath away. The mention of her parents cast a dark shadow over her face. Fortunately, Adam didn't notice. Stay calm, Simona. He's talking about Julie's father, not yours.
I visited your family's restaurant, Julie. The one in the deepest basement of Marcel. And there your father served me more than just food. On that plate, he served me a lost sense garnished with greens.
The atmosphere in the restaurant suddenly shifted. The fanatical gleam in Adam's eyes replaced his prior ease and feigned friendliness. Simona glanced over at her colleague and was relieved to see that Felonia looked perfectly calm. Felonia doesn't seem to sense any danger. All my life I've searched for unique flavors, tried hundreds of combinations, but only in your father's restaurant did I realize that the best seasonings are feelings, emotions, seen. That evening when I was served a tiny ortolan, the moment I covered my head with a serviette, I had an epiphany. When consuming ortolan, the person's head is covered with a napkin to hide their face from God, who disapproves of such a meal. It is the suffering that enriches the dish, and the dish before you is proof of my words. Simona knew the process of preparing ortolan and couldn't share the man's enthusiasm. She didn't even want to think about what was now on her plate. Does he think a tortured bird tastes different? The look in the man's eyes not only killed her appetite, but it also made the empathetic Simona feel nauseous. You want to open a restaurant with recipes like this? Adam was genuinely surprised to detect a note of disdain in her voice. There are no disgusting recipes, only people who are incapable of properly appreciating them. Why do I get the feeling that Fuku is just the tip of the iceberg? If we try to gain his trust, we will surely find out that there are far more controversial dishes on the menu. Should I try to find out more? Of course we play along. Play along. Simona plastered a smile on her face and suppressed all judgmental thoughts. I wouldn't want to open a pathetic imitation of my family's restaurant. My father had much more interesting recipes. Do you have any? Of course. What would you like? Simona had no idea what other dish could be characterized by its cruelty. Foie gras? She bit her lip and decided to try a different approach. The main question is, what dish could get this restaurant shut down? I like to try something I've never tasted at my father's restaurant, something even he hasn't tried. Adam eagerly accepted the challenge, grinning like a predator ready to begin a hunt. I'm confident that I can surprise you. Come to me in a week and you'll only agree to work with me, but you'll also acknowledge that I'm the best at what I do. Deal? The last thing she wanted was to sit there and smile at Adam any longer. Your choice will affect the story. Let's see. Because honestly, I get it. Like I would feel, no, Felonia pushed her plate away a little nervously. She crossed her arms, clearly indicating that she was tired of the chatter and the food. I need to ask him something that will subtly get him talking about his son. But how? Ask directly. Adam, let me not only satisfy my appetite, but also my curiosity. Forgive my rudeness, but even Franz has heard a rumor that there was a murder in your restaurant. Is that true? Adam's inscrutable face was like a mask not showing a single emotion. Yes, one night my son was murdered in this room. And you don't mind? Like, not actually showing any sort of emotion? That's something I've never, But that incident has not affected my work in any way, I assure you. You have nothing to worry about. That's not what I'm worried about at all. Like, this man does not seem to be troubled by his son's passing. He said incident? I'm sorry for your loss. Did your son follow in your footsteps? Based on how he ended up, my son was clearly interested in something he shouldn't have been. And that meant that he needed to get rid of him. I won't judge though. I have no idea what he was into or what he was doing in my restaurant at all. He lived with his mother in Germany. Hey, let's go. We were not in touch, but there's something I'm really curious about. I still can't figure out how he got in here and managed to turn off the cameras. His words, so light in their frankness and so heavy in their meaning, completely ruined the evening, which had not started too badly. Adam's definitely sick and possibly even dangerous. I agree. Because in my eyes, he got rid of his son. He thought that his son had different priorities, as in priorities that did not match his liking. And there are a lot of parents that feel the need to live vigorously through their kids, or turn their kids into sorry if I say it like this, slaves. They have no right to say shit about what they actually want to achieve in life. They are born in order like to carry out their parents' bidding. Let's say it like this. They have no right to decide for themselves. They need to do what their parents want from them. He lacks empathy for both animals and humans. All he cares about is pleasing his own flesh.
So we don't even know what he wanted from you?
Well, what do children want? Money, probably. Everyone wants money, not just children. Felonia realized that they wouldn't get anything more useful out of Adam. She abruptly stood up. She immediately stopped pretending to be nice, leaving Adam momentarily confused.
We're out of time.
We're leaving. Simona stood up after her colleague. She barely managed a goodbye nod to the owner.
You're very impulsive.
Felonia's impulsiveness didn't faze Adam. However,
it was a pleasure to meet you both.
Yeah, it was a pleasure because in his eyes that means that we will be back. You know, we did make that deal. I'm definitely not going to shake his hand.
And Julie, I look forward to seeing you again.
The lights in the room went out. Creeping darkness engulfed the restaurant owner once again. It felt like he wasn't moving at all, just standing there in silence watching his guests leave. Honestly, y'all, if this is how his son was murdered, then I understand what happened. Like, the room was engulfed in darkness. Nobody saw him come in. He used the opportunity, like, to move in the darkness and murder people. No one saw that the chef was there when we came in here. And like he would remain standing until the next visitor entered the restroom. You would imagine Adam hiding in the shadows in the same way on the tragic day of the murder. What did I say? She's my bitch. Like, she gets what I'm coming from. Like, we didn't see him standing in front of us before people turned on the light. If this is how his son got into the restaurant and this man was not pleased with his son's bidding or with what his son was doing for him, then bang, striking him with a knife. Done. She couldn't help but whisper, "Are you sure he's innocent?"
Yes.
There was no point in continuing the conversation, so the women returned to Astrea. This is not good. Felonia gave MIKAEL all the information they had gathered and hurried out of his office. Simona couldn't manage to slip out after Felonia before her boss asked her to stay.
I didn't get a chance to talk to you this morning. How are you feeling?
Simona sat back in her chair. She tried to understand exactly what he was asking. I definitely feel ashamed. I truly regret not telling you everything right away. I was angry at you for withholding information, but I did the same thing.
Simona, that's not what I was asking about.
Huh? His gentle gaze made her feel even worse. I understand, but your concern feels undeserved today.
You don't have to try to earn my favor.
Everyone has to, but not me. Still, I will try to be useful, I promise. I tried to find my connection to a victim today, but I don't see one. Except a connection in our fathers. They are similar in some ways. My father loved the church more than me. Adam loves his restaurant more than his son.
Interesting observation.
Now that I think about it, it's true. Like, if we were sick and everything, he did not care, as long as we carried out this man's bidding. Like, we refused to carry out something that was happening inside of that damn cold, and our parents tried to force then the liquid down our throats. Their conversation was interrupted by persistent knocking at the door. What's wrong? Without waiting for an invitation, Raphael and CASSIEL burst into the office.
Michael, we need David. Where is he?
What? Raphael glanced at the evaluator and spoke more calmly. Oh, no, sure. Not this man being scared that he could scare us off.
And who's next? We need to bring him here. Are you sure?
What the heck is going on?
Yes.
Simona perked up her ears. She tried to read her colleagues' faces for an explanation, but found no answer. Raphael senses death again? Is this maybe his capability that he's capable to sense death? Like, Banji sort of?
David's not here. Maybe Valonia.
I can track the victim here by force too. Of course you can, Cassiel. Michael grimaced and shook his head.
There is no need for force. We must be more tolerant and wise.
A sweetheart, as much as I love that you can be like that, it will not always work out that way, I'm afraid. Michael looked at the evaluator and suddenly made a suggestion.
Well, maybe you can convince a certain person to come to Astrea.
I can try. I have a better chance than Cassiel does, at least.
Great, let's go. We'll explain everything on the way.
Where to?
To the sports club.
Alrighty then. Before disappearing out the door after Raphael and Cassiel, Simona smiled at Michael. Embarrassed by the inappropriate display of emotion, she hurried to hide it. But Michael supported her impulse.
Be careful, Simona.
Y'all. What can I do? They are fucking tempting me all. They're all tempting me. I need to get it together. I need to concentrate, and I really need to look at myself and realize who turns me on the most.
Whatever you may think, you're helping us more than you realize.
Bye. So much confirmation about that we're not stupid, that we actually can do something, and even though we lost our license, that doesn't mean that our capabilities have vanished, that we aren't good at our jobs anymore, that we aren't capable to save lives, because that's technically what you do. Like when someone that wants to kill themselves is in front of you and you are actually capable to manage to heal them to that extent where they're like, okay, I need to fight, giving them back their fighting spirit, helping them ease their inner torment, and now they're ready to go back out there in the world, no longer feeling the need to end their lives because now they actually found a new vigor in it. You saved a life. I love that they're doing this like this. Nodding Simona heard after her colleagues. I love Michael. I really do. A boxing ring, Cassiel drove the same way he interacted with people. At one point, Simona thought he wanted to kill them all. The jumpy driver floored the gas. He barely avoided collisions with cars and ran red lights. Damn, son! In short, he did everything possible to make Simona suddenly remember all those long-forgotten prayers. Damn! Do you even have a driver's license? Simona only asked the question when she got out of the car, though it had been on her mind the whole way.
You can take a cab back.
Are you done? I'm definitely not riding with you.
Quiet, please.
In the sports complex, the lights were only on in one room, where the boxers were training. As such, it was easy to find the potential victim. A long figure wearing earphones was enthusiastically punching a bag. He didn't notice the guests at first. As they approached, Simona saw that he could rival Cassiel in size. As like Raphael knew that forcing him to do something wouldn't work, Simona finally stepped into the athlete's line of sight. She gave him a friendly smile and waved, inviting him to speak.
We're closed.
We know, we're here for you. The man took out his earphones and narrowed his eyes wearily.
What do you want?
Embellish the facts. We're from the Astrea Detective Agency. We've been hired to find dirt on you.
Dirt? Do they want to disqualify me from the competition?
Gladly picking up the idea, Simona nodded. Yes, but fortunately we don't do that. Our field of work is exposing cheaters and stuff like that. Naturally, we refused, but in response to our refusal, the client threatened us. He said that if we didn't shut up, he would shut us up. We refused again. Then he tried to scare us. He slashed the tires of our car and broke a couple of windows. You see, his attitude frightened us, so we've come to warn you.
Why don't you go to the police?
We did. But since this person hasn't done anything to you, the police obviously decided not to inform you.
Well, thank you.
If you don't mind, we'd like to ask you to help us prosecute him. It would be great if you could answer a few questions and look at some photos, when you have time, of course. The man's expression showed his hesitation. He was not eager to agree to this strange request.
I don't even know if I can find the time to come by. I have a competition coming up. I'm leaving tomorrow.
You can come to our agency today. It won't take much time, and it'll save you and us a lot of trouble.
Well, all right.
The tense conversation was interrupted by surrounding footsteps. The man is not afraid of you and is willing to cooperate. Thank you.
Hey, lady, we're closed.
Simona turned to a slender figure. She was moving slowly toward them, a predatory gleam in her eyes. Oh God, she's the one that needs to kill him. Raphael stepped in front of the man to shield him and asked in a quite even voice,
How can we get out of here?
The man didn't seem to understand why the door behind them wasn't good enough, but he answered anyway.
There's an emergency exit behind the ring.
Let's go.
I can't leave the gym like this.
Yes, you have to.
And we can leave you with that woman. CASSIEL will get her out of here.
The man apparently connected some dots and decided that she was the client who was harassing them. He became even more confused but still followed Raphael. CASSIEL moved toward the new guest, scrutinizing her face carefully. When the woman saw that they were trying to take the boxer away, she laughed. Was that actually a thing? Oh my God, what the heck is all this? Where does this woman now come from?
Run while you can, little rats. Just remember you're running in circles with no way out. You're all going to die anyway.
She looked up at CASSIEL, who had approached her and smiled sweetly.
Well, hello there, handsome.
Oh, hell no. Now that's just disgusting. The evaluator was distracted from the strange sight by a distant voice.
You wanna come with us?
Oh, Simona, wait, don't leave. Huh, what the heck? How does she know our name now?
I'll calm your night down in a moment, and you and I will have a chat too.
What Simona saw next left her speechless. The frail woman lunged at the large man, knocking him to the ground and pinning him down.
Simona, run.
Simona ran for the exit but hesitated at the stairs. As she looked at the rapidly shrinking backs of the men ahead of her, she pressed her lips together. I can't leave CASSIEL. What if that woman isn't alone? And why doesn't he just throw her off of him? Is he afraid of accidentally hurting her, or is he stalling for time? But a hoarse voice quickly brought her back to her senses.
Who the hell are you?
Now I'll help him. Simona knew she could hardly use a heavy barbell or any other kind of sports equipment as a weapon. Instead, she ran towards the woman. She tried to pull her off of CASSIEL.
Wait your turn.
Bitch, shut the fuck up and get off one of my mans. I'm protective and I'm possessive of my bitches. You touch him, you die. You did not want to listen. You did not want to get off my man. Now I'm taking precautions. The woman released CASSIEL's neck and swung at Simona, sending her flying with a single blow. Simona flew a good 16 feet and landed near the boxing ring. She instinctively crawled away from the fighting duo. Fortunately, the momentary distraction was enough for CASSIEL to throw the woman off himself. Simona was too shocked to see exactly how he knocked the woman unconscious, but she suddenly calmed down and went limp. What the hell? CASSIEL left the attacker on the floor and rushed over to the evaluator.
Are you all right?
I'm very fine, thank you. Yes, and now he's gonna be upset. His concern quickly. Well, what can I tell you, bitches? That's what happens. Like, when you truly care about someone, this has to do with like your personality. That's when you are possessive. Like, first off, when you truly care, you are concerned that they could have gotten hurt because of you, because they were standing up for you, because they were protecting you. And when they see that you are fine and that you are, that nothing bad happened to you, they turn it into anger. They're like, bitch, why the fuck have you remained? Didn't I tell you to leave? Like, if you would have left, then nothing bad would have happened to you. And then you, as the person that protected them, you would be like, yeah, but I wanted to protect you because I care about you. I wanted to make sure that you are safe and sound. And that's something that they then can't stand, because that actually openly shows that you truly care about them and that you couldn't allow them to get hurt. And especially for someone that isn't capable to actually put into words how they feel about you, that would put them in a difficult position. Because even though they feel thankful and they actually start to feel more love towards you because of that, romantic love, if they have like romantic feelings for you, they couldn't actually say it to you, His concern quickly turned into righteous anger.
I told you to follow Raphael. What did you say? Have you lost your mind?
I don't need to say anything else. Adrenaline still coursed through her veins, now mixed with fear and anger. I stayed to help you. Period. Irritated, she pushed his outstretched hand away. She grabbed the edge of the ring and rose unsteadily to her feet. Her bruised knee reacted immediately, but she didn't let herself fall, gripping the ledge even tighter.
Don't you get it? I don't need your help.
And in my eyes, you needed my help. Simona burned with rage. She shoved his hand away again, harder this time. Damn it, CASSIEL. Normal people say thank you.
I could have handled it myself. Why did you doubt me?
It has nothing to do with doubting you. I know you're capable, but I wanted to make sure, to see with my own eyes that nothing happens. Doubt?
You were almost taken down by a woman who weighs 90 pounds at most. Are you immortal or just an idiot?
Not knowing how to answer, CASSIEL rolled his eyes.
Oh, move aside!
Simona pushed herself upright with the support of the ledge, then took a step around the sullen obstacle of a man. You irritate me so much. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people go for CASSIEL. You irritate me so much, yet I can't hate you. Walking with her head held high was out of the question. Her knee was too sore. Limping, she took a few small steps toward the emergency exit.
What's wrong with your leg?
Nothing. Leaving the annoying voice behind, Simona picked up her pace, but she didn't get far. CASSIEL caught her cool hand in his and turned her back around. I don't need your help either. You're both stubborn as mules. You see, that's the worst kind of enemies to lovers, when you two are literally the same. And I'm not talking about your insides. I'm talking about the defensive shield that you put around your heart. The pain that we turn into that defensive shield kind of is being how do I say it? We all go through negative experiences, and one of those experiences, to put an example in here, makes us not open up about what we truly feel on the inside. Then a different experiences forces us to remain calm and detached from our emotions at all times. So, and that's the defensive shield I'm talking about. The more pain you absorb, you learn specific aspects, and that turns into the defensive shield before people are capable to reach who you truly are, as in the vulnerable side to you. They are met with this defensive shield created through traumatic and painful memories and experiences. And our character and CASSIEL have that same defensive shield. They both suffered their specific amount of pain and struggles during the course of their life, and they both took on the exact same life lesson from a specific experience. Simona pulled her hand free, then pushed him in the chest with all her might, but the wall of stone-like muscles didn't budge an inch. Next time I'll definitely leave you alone with the killer, just like you want me to. Fight her until you're blue in the face if you like it so much. This time CASSIEL didn't continue the argument. He almost sighed as he spoke.
That's enough, Simona.
Yeah, this man did not want us to get hurt. That's why he's upset. Because in his eyes he can handle it. But he wanted us to leave because he didn't want us to get hurt. And us actually staying back because we care the exact same amount about him. Not wanting to leave him behind, giving him the feeling that he's all alone, even though we know he can handle it, is something that he just doesn't want to wrap his head around, because it just shows how much we care about him. Then quite unexpectedly, he picked her up and carried her back to the boxing ring. Shocked, Simona clung to his shoulder. She didn't know what to say. She didn't fully grasp what was happening. It lasted only a few seconds. CASSIEL sat her gently on the edge of the ring and knelt in front of her.
Why does it hurt?
As she looked down at him, Simona felt only one thing, the dull, rapid beating of her own heart. She swallowed nervously and tried to answer calmly, but her voice came out trembling. I think I bruised my knee. Cassiel stood up, hurried to the corner of the gym to the equipment rack. Quickly, in just a few long strides, he returned and kneeled down again. I can do it myself. Simona saw a white elastic bandage in his hands. She tried to take it from him, but Cassiel wouldn't let her. Shut the fuck up and allow him to do it. I know how to do this. Relax your leg. Easier said than done. Cassiel wrapped the band just below her knee and pulled the fabric tighter. Does it hurt? No. He secured the bandage by carefully tucking the end under the tightly wrapped cloth. Without removing his hand from her bandaged leg, he gave Simona a piercing look. The warmth radiating from his hand sent a wave through her entire body. Aww. Is that not the cutest thing ever?
Thank you for your help. But it would really be easy for me if you thought of yourself instead of me.
I can't do that. Cassiel sighed heavily and stood up. She's the exact same, sis.
Can you walk?
He took her hands in his and helped her to her feet. Yes. What you've done has shaken Cassiel to the core. He'll be thinking about you all night. You're welcome. Cassiel waited for the police to arrive, then handed the still unconscious attacker directly to Valonia. The would-be victim visibly relaxed when he saw the police. And after speaking with Valonia, the man went to Astrea much more willingly. Astrea's new guest had a long conversation with MIKAEL. He was then assigned to a spare bedroom and assured that it would be safer that way. For some reason, he stopped arguing and just agreed. I wonder what MIKAEL told him. RAPHAEL and CASSIEL stayed in the office while Simona and the man went to the living room to talk. I'm sure they want to discuss the attacker and how she almost finished off CASSIEL. Where did she get so much strength? Sacrifices. The only experiments she could think of were those performed on soldiers. They were given drugs or alcohol to enhance combat performance. They must be pumping them with something in that cold for sure. But a mere absence of self-preservation instinct is not enough to take down someone as strong as CASSIEL. Maybe he really was afraid of accidentally killing her.
My name is Harry, by the way.
Simona.
Are they keeping you here because they're saving you from a beast too?
No, I'm here. Simona paused. She suddenly realized that she wasn't sure of her answer anymore. Interpreting her hesitation as agreement, Harry continued.
Aren't you afraid to stay in this place? A woman, and such a beautiful one too.
Thank you.
And there are men around who say you're in some kind of danger.
They didn't tell me anything like that.
Really, that blonde guy told me straight up that some cold is hunting us and trying to kill us. What did they tell you?
Simona tried to suppress her growing unease. She attempted to justify herself, but it was more for her than for him. I got a job with them. But the cold really exists. They're not lying to you.
But who are they? And why do we matter to them?
She had no answer.
Good Samaritans who are willing to provide for me until the end of my days, just like that. Okay, I can understand them doing that for you, but why do they care about me?
Yeah, because you're fine AF, that's what he's saying. With just a few words, the once unpleasant living room had turned into a gloomy, suspicious place. What could they want from me? I have the feeling that they know. I feel like they know that we, are important to those bitches, and that's why they felt the need to make sure that we are with them at all times. If you get what I mean. Are they dragging me around as bait? Again with that fucking bait. But in my eyes, it could make sense. Like, if the fucking beast wants or asks so badly, then I don't think he would mind actually adding us to the list. Simona clasped her trembling hands and looked at Harry. You can think what you want, but you're in real danger outside the walls of this house.
I was doing fine until you guys showed up.
Harry stood up abruptly. He stared at the open door that led to the garden.
I can see that you're scared. Come with me. Let's go outside and call the police right away. Tell them you are being held against your will.
But I'm not held against my will.
Let the authorities deal with Astrea and the beast, not us.
I can't. The man chewed on his lower lip for a bit, but headed for the exit anyway. Oh, let's go. Damn, I can't let him go like this. Warn him. Harry, I'm not going to stop you, but just listen. Leave for your competition right now. There's no need to go to the police. You've seen the cops. They're aware of all this. And just take care of yourself. There's nothing suspicious or bad about this request, is there? Try not to contact anyone until you leave the city. Don't trust anyone. Harry thought for a moment and nodded.
All right, you take care of yourself too.
You managed to convince him this will affect the plot. Let's go. Simona watched him disappear into the green of the garden. She slowly sank onto the couch. She needed to run and warn Michael that Harry was leaving, but she couldn't even move. What does he really want from me? Simona was convinced that Michael had known everything about her from the beginning. She began to replay their few conversations in her head. Can I trust his words? And can I really leave? You can't leave. Like, just try to leave. The feeling of safety she had suddenly evaporated. Evil now seemed to lurk everywhere. Outside the house the beast awaited her, but inside were the oppressive, sticky whips of the unknown. What am I supposed to do? Well, I have the feeling that let's just say like this, we're easily manipulated. I mean, of course it makes sense because there's no reason for them to actually get something out of this by actually protecting us, and we were so petrified that they would actually kick us out the second that they would like find out that we don't have a license anymore. And then David telling us that they have known all along that we have no fucking license, yet they have no fucking problem with that. And I do agree, it kind of makes everything more sketchy, like Michael actually stopping us before we're leaving in order like to save that boxer from the ring, saying even if you don't really see it, you are helping us more than you realize. Of course, if I have what the beast truly wants, then I actually will always know that the beast will find me some way or another. Sooner or later, he won't be capable to hire that many people to actually kidnap her. Like, I will be capable to get rid of the beast, and I am capable to use you in order like to get to them. Like, it's like we're a means to an end sort of for this group, and we don't want to be. Understandable, of course. But let's just see what next episode will be like. I have the feeling that Michael is like the real evil mastermind. We will see. I hope you enjoyed this video with me. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in the season 1 finale. Bye.